Brush your teeth twice a day, see your dentist twice a year, and floss after every meal. Now it's a pleasure to introduce leader of the California Teachers Association, the great California Teachers Association, who teach our students, and they ought to start teaching some of the Republican politicians so that they would understand civics and good government. But anyway, to introduce our Superintendent of Public Instruction. But before I do this, I want to tell you a quick story about Tom Torlakson. Tom was elected to the State Assembly, had 2 more years left in his term, and coming up for that election was a Republican incumbent, very popular, semi-moderate, who had been the sheriff of the county for years. And I went to Tom and asked him if he was interested in running, and he decided to run, even giving up a cinch 2-year term. So I called one Saturday, and it was pouring rain, and I asked if Tom was at the house, and his wife said, no, he's out. I says, oh, do you know when he'll be back? And she said, later, he's out ringing doorbells. And the next Monday, I went into the caucus and said, we better raise a lot of money for this guy. If he's walking precincts in the rain, you know he's going to win, and you know he's a fighter, and that's what he is, a fighter for everything, but definitely a fighter for the school children of our state. But I give you Dean Vogel from the California Teachers Association to introduce our superintendent.
Good afternoon, Democrats, California Democrats. I thank you. I thank you. I'll tell you, I've been at I don't know how many conventions, sitting right down there looking at this stage, and I guaranteed myself if I ever had the opportunity to stand in front of you, I'd say one thing. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for putting your feet in the street. Thank you for fighting for California. Thank you for being the grassroots organizers that you are. Thank you for standing up for public education and for colleges in your own hometowns. Thank you for standing up for the people in your communities. Thank you for working with educators, for working with CTA and our allies to elect a governor that we've been waiting for a long, long time to say these words. And you've heard Jerry Brown say this a number of times. We're testing our kids too much. There's too much emphasis on standardized testing. And now I'm about to bring out someone who also knows how to tell the truth, how to look folks in the eye and tell them what's what. And Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlakson knows that No Child Left Behind has been a disaster, and he does not have any shame in calling that all over this country. And now I'm going to tell you something I tell our members every single place I go. No matter where I'm at in California, we are in it for the fight of our lives, people. We are in it for the fight of our lives. And if you don't believe that, ask a teacher in Wisconsin. Ask a bus driver in Ohio. Ask a pipe fitter in Pennsylvania. Ask an electrician in Florida. And they will tell you that the people that have been fighting us year in and year out are coming after us big time in California. And I ask you this, how do we fix the budget crisis that we have by taking out our schools and blaming our teachers and blaming our labor partners and our workers? It's absolutely insane that busting unions is going to build a budget. It makes no sense. But that's what the corporations are telling people all across this state and all across this country, deceiving voters with endless lies and campaign cash and scare tactics. Corporate deception, that's what we're up for, and we've heard a lot of people talking about it today, and we have got to learn how to talk about it in our communities. It's an initiative that's aimed at taking away our political rights, and I'm telling you something, they're not trying to silence our voice. They're trying to annihilate it. And when they get rid of us, they believe that they're going to get rid of us, and they believe that they're going to have their way. And if they have their way, here's what they do. They're coming after our kids. They're coming after our jobs. They're coming after our families. They're coming after our communities. And we're here to tell them, you're coming after our families, you're coming through us. You're coming after our kids, you're coming through us. You're coming after our families, you're coming through us. That's what grassroots Democrats do. That's who we are, and that's the message we're sending to Californians. Now, I will tell you, this was an historic week, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you right now how happy the California Teachers Association is that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals finally decided that Prop 8 was unconstitutional. California Teachers Association put $1 million into that fight, and I'll tell you something. A lot of our members and many of you here were wondering just what in the heck was that about? Well, I'll tell you what it was about. You want to know what we were thinking? We were thinking that equal rights for everybody is always worth the fight that you have to fight to protect them. Equal rights for families is always worth what it takes to protect them. And the same folks who are trying to take our rights away are trying to take our jobs away. And they're threatening our communities, and they're threatening our kids. And that's the fight we have. And I'll tell you something. When you're in that kind of a fight, you need somebody that's going to stand with you. Somebody who understands that you stand up for communities, you stand up for kids, you stand up for public schools. There's too much at stake in this fight, and we can't let the fad reformers and the crazy corporate folks who think they know how to reform public education, we can't let this fight distract us. We need a leader that's going to stand right in front of us and take them on, take on the reformers. We need somebody like Tom Torlakson, somebody who's fearless, somebody who has the voice. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes me in. I have just incredible pride and pleasure to present to you. Oh, by the way, Tom Torlakson is also a Democrat 2012 member, but he is our state superintendent of public instruction, and he is our voice, he is our hero. Ladies and gentlemen, please, Democrats, the state superintendent of public instruction, Tom Torlakson.
Wow. Good afternoon, Democrats. It's another great day in Democrat country. I am so pleased to be here, so honored to be your superintendent and to be with you in the fight for our kids, for a bright future for every child in California. And thank you, Dean Vogel, for that kind introduction and your passion. As we were waiting back to come out here, we both said we miss the classroom. We love working with kids. We love to see them grow, to find their inner talents, to shape their dreams and move forward. And we're just doing it in a different arena, helping them in the place we are. Thank you for your leadership, Dean, as a great teacher leader. And thank you, John Burton, as our party leader, our great party leader. We'll follow you anywhere. When John Burton gets behind you, which he did in the story he told you, he got behind me when I ran for Senate. It was all over for the opposition. And so we will win up and down the state because we have a great leader in John Burton. Correct? Yes. And I want to say thank you to every Democrat here today, ready to fight for our children, for their brighter future. Are you revved up? Are you ready? And I'm glad to match the energy I feel in this room that I had my 3 cups of coffee this morning and a run, and it's still sustaining me, but your energy is palpable, your energy is positive. And so let me start by asking this question. How many of you drove a car to get here? Okay. Did you drive a Democratic or Republican? Did you drive as a Democratic or Republican driver? And yes, there is a difference. When Democrats want to get somewhere, we put the car in drive. We go forward, right? If you listen to most Republicans, all they want to do is put the car in reverse. So we've got a simple choice to make this year. It comes down to forward or backward. The Republican Party is going backwards. They want to throw our schools, our state, and our country into reverse. Let's start with Newt Gingrich. What's his vision for helping our children achieve a world-class education? A bucket and a mop. Have you heard this story? Quote from Gingrich, "You could hire 30-some kids to work in the school for the price of one janitor, and those 30 kids would be a lot less likely to drop out." I don't know if this is his idea of a jobs program or an education program, but talk about no child left behind. He doesn't want our kids to study Charles Dickens. He wants them to live it. And what about his other idea? Putting a colony on the moon. Actually, I'm for it with a couple of conditions. One-way tickets only, and Newt is on the very first flight. Newt Gingrich will be on the very first flight, and who should be his co-pilot? Santorum. Let's get Santorum as co-pilot. Then there's Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, the last politician in America who still thinks no child left behind is a grand idea. Here's what he says. "I've been a governor." Quote, "I've been a governor and seen the impact that the federal government can have holding down the interests of the teachers' union. So I supported No Child Left Behind. I still do. I like the testing in our schools." Sounds to me like he is a wrong-way politician who deserves to be left behind. Right? The Republicans want to go backwards. We have a plan to move forward. They think that multiple choice testing, our way to achievement, is the way to go. They think we can solve our problems by continuing to label schools as failures. They think we can fire our way to great teaching. But we've got a much better idea, a blueprint for great schools, created with the help of teachers, school employees, parents, community leaders. And I just want to recognize and thank some of the team here, the Democratic Party team, who have made this happen, who crafted the blueprint and helped create the momentum. Cesar Diaz is one of our great leaders here who has helped with that. Jai from CSEA. We had Josh Peshtal, David Sanchez, Tim Sobrante, and Alex Rooker were part of the team that crafted this action plan for our schools. And I'm just going to touch on it very lightly. This great team, the people of California, believe in the public school system. And first, we were aiming to get a 21st century education for every student with one-to-one access to computer technology, an initiative we are calling, thanks to Alex Rooker's ingenuity in thinking of this, we're calling it No Child Left Offline. We're going to get those computers in the hands of our kids so magical learning can take place. It also includes 21st century skills that we're aiming at, critical thinking, problem solving, and team skills we know that all of our students need to succeed. Our blueprint, secondly, calls for meeting the needs of the whole child, reaching and teaching every child, starting where they are. We Democrats know too well the daunting challenges our students face. 1/2 of the students come to school needing help to pay for their lunch. 1/4 of the students come to their schools needing to learn English. 1/4 of our school children are growing up in poverty, and 1/4 do not have health care. Meeting their needs means providing access to health care, after-school programs, and restoring the cuts that have been made to arts, music, drama, and sports programs. Don't we agree that we need health care for every child in California? We agree on that. And don't we need more art, music, drama? Not less, we need more. Our blueprint also stresses early learning, including quality childcare and preschool programs. Right? We need to invest early. It's smart. It's the moral and correct thing to do, and it works. These programs set our children up for success so that they can start school ready to learn. It's a simple choice. Invest in kids early and reap the rewards of a better educated, more productive workforce and a healthier state, or pay the price later with more high school dropouts, more of our young people dropping into gangs, drugs, and jail. We've got some hard work to do this year to protect these programs from further budget cuts. It's critical because deeper cuts to these programs would be a huge mistake for California and our future. But even the best plan for schools won't work until we address the fundamental financial emergency facing our schools. I'm grateful to the teachers, the school employees, the parents, and community leaders who stood with me when I declared a state of financial emergency for our schools a year ago. We wanted to call out the National Guard, right? Well, we knew we couldn't do that, but you know what? We were able to sound the alarm, and because we did, more Californians today, a year later, more than ever before, know that our schools need help desperately to bring back the tens of thousands of teachers and classified employees who have been laid off, to get the textbooks, computers, and science equipment our students need and deserve, and to end the severe overcrowding in California classrooms, the most crowded in the nation. To end this emergency, we've got to tell it like it is. We must be willing to tax ourselves, to invest in our schools and our students. Are we ready for this? It's critical. This is why it is critical that every Democrat and every Californian support every measure on the November ballot to protect our schools from new cuts and begin to restore what we have lost. We can't turn back now. We are turning the tide. The folks who brought us No Child Left Behind are conceding it doesn't work. Voters are rejecting politicians who think the way to build themselves up is to tear down the teachers in our schools. And more Californians than ever before are seeing the impact of the cuts, the severely detrimental cuts to our schools, and they are determined to invest in those schools once again. Are you ready to join those who are wanting to invest in the future of our schools? Are you ready to join the fight to bring back our schools? And who's leading the fight? It's people working in schools. It's Democrats. It's Democrats. Did we hear that? And it's our people in the schools. I want to recognize the valiant work of the school employees, the faculty team in each school in California. Teachers are doing that work day in and day out, heroic work, champions for our students. Stand up if you're a credentialed teacher. Let's say thank you to the teachers of California, working day in and day out for our students. And stay standing, but let's have your teammates, our classified employees, the school employees that are part of this team, the nurses, the librarians, the principals, administrators, the counselors. We are all part of a great team moving forward, working together for California. Look around you, together. We are strong. We can win. We are fighting for that brighter future. Yes, we can win for the children of California. Yes, we will win. Thank you, Democrats.